In this episode of The Real Effect, I am talking about Black revolutionaries that used film as their medium of activism. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Real Effect. I'm your host, Meah Denee. In this episode, I am talking about Black storytellers that are more than just filmmakers. They are film activists. So you've probably heard about the Ava DuVernays, the Spike Lees, film activists that we know today. But what about the people that came before them, or even others that aren't as known? I am breaking down 4 film activists that you might not know, or you might have watched some of their films and had no idea who these amazing directors were. Also, I have a few honorable mentions that you can head over to the Real Effect site and you can see the list of amazing Black film activists. So what is a film activist? For the purposes of this video, I defined it as any Black filmmaker that puts a spotlight on Black culture, Black life, and the injustices and the lack of equality that Black people face on a daily basis in America and throughout the world. My first Black film activist on the list is Moshoi. He is considered to be the first Black feature filmmaker. In 1916, he produced, directed, and wrote over 44 films. Some of these films included silent films, sound films, and race films. He was truly a Renaissance man. Not only did he start his own production company, but he also started his own publishing company so that he had complete control over all of his work. Not only did he accomplish all of these amazing things, but he was the first person to direct and produce a feature film with an all-Black cast. This happened in 1919. Amazing. It was called The Homesteader. On top of that, he wrote a film called Within Our Gates, which is considered to be the response to the film Birth of a Nation. This was a silent film that he produced in 1920. Moshoi was truly a bold and brilliant filmmaker. His films included topics like lynching, job discrimination, rape, mob violence, even abortion. The world was truly not ready for this man. A lot of his films were censored and he had to cut and edit down a lot of his films just so that they could be released in movie theaters around the country. Moshoi truly set the precedent for Black film activists and filmmakers. Next on the list is Gordon Parks, one of my favorites. He is truly a film activist in all mediums of art. He was a director, a writer, a composer, and a poet, and how can I forget, a photographer. Gordon Parks was a photographer for Life magazine from the late 40s to the late 60s. He photographed Black culture, Black America, specifically the Black ghettos and places like Harlem and different areas of New York. Gordon Parks' work truly showed Black culture and life in such a raw, real, and beautiful way through his documentaries, short films, and his first film, The Learning Tree. But I don't think it was until his first mainstream film in 1971 with Shaft that we truly see Blackness in a new way. So his film Shaft in 1971 made Gordon Parks the first mainstream Black film director. It also gave him the name of being the co-father of Black exploitation films. Some argue that the Black exploitation era was no good for Black people, but it truly helped create a shift in how Black people, Black actors specifically, were giving opportunities in Hollywood films. Now moving on to our next film activist, it is the documentarian filmmaker, Stanley Nelson. I consider him to be the OG of film activism. Now he has done so many films, his resume is so long, and we're not even going to get into the amount of awards this man has, but some of his resume includes films like The Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution, The Murder of Emmett Till, Freedom Riders, Freedom Summer, so many to name. This man's life work is truly to create stories that showcase Black lives, not only the injustices that we face, but also the beauty of Black culture. One of my favorite projects of Stanley Nelson is probably his documentary, Tell Them We Are Rising, which is about the 150-year history of HBCUs and their impact within American history. He is more than just a documentarian. He built his own production company alongside his wife called Firelight Media, where they create initiatives to help build up the next generation of film activists. So you know I couldn't end this episode without highlighting a female film activist. Our next film activist is Dawn Porter. She is a writer, director, producer, and award-winning documentarian. Some of her work has been aired on HBO, PBS, The New Yorker, and OWN. She's also worked with President Obama in the documentary Rise, The Promise of My Brother's Keeper. She even has a Netflix movie called Bobby for President. But not only has she done those amazing projects, but her most recent project highlights the life and legacy of John Lewis. It's called Good Trouble. It is out now and you should definitely check it out. Thank you so much for tuning into The Real Effect. I'm your host, Meah Denee. Make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you show us some love in the comments section, and make sure you share this episode to anyone who needs to know a little bit about Black film activists. I'll see you guys next time. Love always.